Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Super Mario Galaxy Part 9. Part 9. Fellas, if you could believe it, this is Part 9. Hi, welcome. Fellas, in the last episode, I don't really remember entirely what we did. I think we did a prankster comet for, I want to say Honey Hive Galaxy. And then we did the Hungry Luma Star for the Fountain Dome. And then we started on the kitchen dome and did the 3 stars that are in Beach Bowl. Now the thing is, we're going back to Beach Bowl this episode, fellas. We're going back to Beach Bowl because we kind of have some unfinished business. We have a fast foe comet that is available to us currently. This is basically, I don't think they end up using this comet type often. I don't think they end up using it often. But this is essentially just doing this whole cyclone sequence from the last star, I believe, that we did. And it's just, as you can tell, everything moves fast. Now, the strat that I have always used, that clearly didn't work there, as you can see, the strat that I have always used was to kind of skip part of it through certain means. Now, if I can remember how to do that, that's a whole nother story. No, okay, so it's going to be a little difficult. You know what I think we're going to do? I think we don't cheese anything, fellas. I think we just try and go for it. I think there should be no issues there. But, fellas, hope you all are having a good day. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a sludge of a day. It's been a bit of a sludge of a day. Mostly just haven't felt at my best, right? Haven't felt at my best physically, which typically for me ties more into like a mental thing as a result. But, you know, listen, I have always said when I really just can't get myself up and going, right? More or less on the physical scale, right? Mentally, I have my stuff that helps with that, but typically it kind of doesn't apply as much if physical stuff is thrown in as well, because, again, if my physical's off, my mental just feels off. And it used to kind of be vice versa, but I've kind of noticed nowadays that, like, you know, if my mental's a little I can do some stuff, and usually my physical just isn't really feeling weirdly affected alongside it. Which is good. I mean, that's good. But, yeah, just weird phenomenon stuff. But down to a whole bottle of water, which listen, man, I think that's a huge part of why my physical's not as good as it could be. You know, I think it's just, there's a lot of things to it. I don't have, like, the best diet in the world, which I think I've talked about in these videos before. Of course, I don't try and go into all the specifics of it because, again, I think in the content creation sphere, I don't think that's stuff that needs to necessarily be aired out to the full extent. But, you know, like, I do have... Oh, hey, I had an alarm going. Oh, okay, that's cool. I had an alarm going because I like to do this thing where typically if I need to lay down for a little bit, I set a timer on my phone to be like, okay, lay down for this amount of time. Do not bed rot. Do not bed rot. And it's, yeah, the bed rotting part is, it's bad, man. And I genuinely think sometimes whether I bed rot or not is kind of the determining factor, I want to say, as to how my day is going to go. Not definitively, I want to say, but it definitely, I would like to say, has an effect. Hey, real talk, I don't know what in the world we got to do to... So we got to go over there. Do I remember? No, because typically... You remember how I pointed out that, like, 99% of the secret stars in this game feel like they're a result of a Hungry Luma thing? Yeah, I don't think this one is. Oh, you know what it is? I think you have to go through this pipe down here. Or maybe this is just a secret area, guys. Okay, so we're just gonna... Uh-huh. I think they make you do this just whole, like... Alright, well, that doesn't bode well. Ooh. Have I boned myself here? Oh, wow. Hey, can you just, like, that might open up. Hold up. Yeah. See, I don't... All right. I didn't think that was going to happen. What do you give? Oh, you just give star bits. Listen, I'm not trying to devalue star bits or anything, but I thought it was going to be like, you get up there, the, you know, maybe you get a opening to a pipe that, I don't know, spawns you near a launch star of sorts. Maybe it's over here. Oh, you know what it is? It's over here. I know exactly what you're supposed to do now. Okay, do not panic in the slightest. I'm getting that one up, first of all. So what you have to do, I believe, okay, from my understanding, you have to get a shell, okay, like so. You have to get a shell like so. And you have to go up here, okay? And we're just gonna, we're just gonna do a real quick just... Yep, that is exactly what you're supposed to do. See, the good thing is that the secret stars, quote-unquote, are not, like, insanely secret, I want to say. They're not insanely secret, which I think is good. Hey, a Quack. I think this is the first time we're being introduced to these suckers. Normally I think you encounter them a good bit later in the game, but if you actually go through, like, every star, you do encounter them a fair bit earlier. Do you have to just, like... Oh, no. You know what you have to do? They make you do this little thing, okay? So... you know, of course, if you guys have ever played Mario Sunshine, you may have a rough idea of what these guys' general functions will be. They're more helpful than anything in this game, though. They literally are meant to leap you up to areas that you're supposed to go to, and this is our first introduction to the Ice Flower, which we normally would not see until the next dome after this, I believe. But, again, because we're kind of going through everything, you know, we end up seeing it. So, Ice Mario's whole shtick really is that he can kind of skate along water and turn it into ice, and you're kind of walking on water of sorts, right? And you can also wall jump off of the water-like surfaces because of the fact that they're water, right? So what we have to do here, if I am correct, we have to kind of just lead Mr. Quack here to the star, and then let him send us up. That was, I mean, that was kind of smooth, man. I can't even lie. That was kind of smooth. I don't know why. I had a sneaking suspicion that that secret star was going to take much longer. It did not. All right, star number 32. You love to see it. Fellas, hope we're all doing well. Hey, as of the time I'm recording this, and listen, you're going to hear me ramble about this a fair bit because we inch closer and closer to this every day. It is currently the 25th as of the time that I am recording this video, and boy howdy, fellas. Boy howdy, we are like a week away from the Switch 2 Direct. I have been hearing these rumors, by the way. Okay, I've been hearing these rumors that apparently there is a possibility that as of tomorrow, I mean tomorrow as of the time that I'm recording this video, for you guys, this will have already long happened, right? That there might be a Switch 1 Direct of some sorts, whether that's like a indie showcase or whatever. That's beyond me. I would know. I don't think anyone knows. But people are saying that tomorrow we're going to be getting a Switch 1 Direct. Now, I'm just going to keep it $150 with you. I highly doubt that's happening. Okay? Now, I could understand to some degree, okay? I can understand to some degree maybe why people feel this is something that's going to happen. Because it's like, all right, maybe they want to show off the last little batch of, like, Switch 1 stuff before the Switch 2 is kind of the new jammer. Which, for the record, I would like to believe, okay? Not that I 100% feel this is positively going to happen, but I would like to believe to some extent that I don't think they're entirely going to be done with the Switch 1 when the Switch 2 comes out. And I mainly feel this way because of the backwards compatible aspect of it. You almost just completely screwed yourself over. You can do a funny little thing with a booze here, by the way, where you can spin and get them to do kind of a circle around you, which you can usually do to sort of jabate them into the light. So we got to get this this boo out. That was kind of the test round boo, and we got to get him to walk into here. I didn't even have to do the whole spin stick, and he gives you a key. By the way, this is hold on. Let me see if I can remember the name. Ghostly Galaxy. I'm so good at this. I mean, honestly, I'm just the best at this, fellas. I don't even know what to tell you. But yeah, Ghostly Galaxy is a very good galaxy, for the record. I think it is one of the more memorable galaxies in this game for me. I say that like a lot of them aren't memorable. Naturally, I think there's always going to be that good bunch that just aren't, though. I think that is inevitable. This is a weird position to be in, but yeah, I don't know. So I really don't think I see a Switch 1 Direct happening. What the frick? Okay. Sure. Sure, man. Give me that. I want that. I'll get it through a wall jump. Well, okay. I did get it through a wall jump, technically. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that while I understand it from the viewpoint of, oh, it's like, it could happen because of the fact that they want to show off the last bunch of, Switch 1 stuff. I don't think that the Switch 2 coming out is going to be the end of the Switch 1's life cycle. Now, technically, that's also always been the case for even the consoles that do not have backwards compatibility, just to a lesser extent, right? Well, I say that, but honestly, dude, there was a year, and I remember seeing this talked about in a Scott Stash video, which if you don't know is Scott the Waz's second channel. Amazing stuff over there. Genuinely, if you need your Scott the Waz fix. But, again, Scott the Waz doesn't upload frequent enough for you, which for some people is probably much so the case. It's, he puts a lot more time into those videos specifically, so naturally having a video all the time to come out is not necessarily much of a thing over there. But on the Scott Stash channel, that is different. That being said, okay, that was clean, by the way. There was a video over on Scott Stash. Oh, hey guys, it's Luigi. Over on the Scott Stash channel, there was a video where he kind of talked about the fact that there was a period on the Switch's life cycle where they just really decided to release a ton of Wii U ports to the Switch, right? That was a big thing for a minute. Now, why that was a big thing, I don't really know. It's kind of odd, right? I think it's a little strange. That being said, of course, I think ultimately a big thing about the Wii U was that there were a good bunch of games over there that were definitely very special, but they never really truly got their chance to truly feel special because they were ultimately on the Wii U. Okay, and that was their biggest, that was their biggest caveat. They were on the Wii U, so even though they were a good game, right, in a lot of people's eyes, they would never get that widespread attention because, you would recommend these games to people. Would be like, oh, this is a great game that you love? Oh, cool. What console is it on? It's on the Wii U. And no one would want anything to do with that, right? No one would want anything to do with that. And it's like, you look at it and you could be like, "Durr, can't you just give the Wii U a chance?" But it's like, well, you gotta understand there's a reason why they didn't, right? There's kind of a pretty good reason why they didn't. That thing sold horrendously, and naturally, in a lot of the people's eyes, I mean, this was not the case for everyone. I think there was always a general audience for the Wii U, as with any console, really. Oh, hey, Luigi's over there. There's a general audience for every console, especially in the Nintendo sphere, that, you'll have these, minority, vocal minority group people on Twitter talking about, how, oh, this game sucks because of this very specific thing, and everyone hates it, supposedly. But like, no, that's just in that space of Twitter. Nobody like who actually like a mass majority of people do not care about the actual the ongoing things that are happening in the video game industry. Nobody actually cares about that stuff, and I think that is both part of the reason why, when some bad stuff happens in video game companies, it gets around more often, right? Like it gets why am I going back to Beach Bowl? It gets around more often, and they're just like, companies are just like, okay, we can just do this, and it's because, again, in the average person's not going to care much. The average person's not going to care much. Now, of course, I'm kind of straying away from the conversation topic at hand here, but ultimately, the Wii U, just even with that sort of general audience argument, the Wii U just didn't do well. Like, I mean, if you look at the comparison of sales from the Switch, or even, okay, let's if we're not going to go up against the Goliath that is the Switch, right? Let's compare it to, I don't know, the Switch 2. Or not the Switch 2, but the Wii, right? Which came right before it. The Wii sold astronomically better. And it was not because, it's just a sequel, guys. It's just a sequel effect. No. That thing, the Wii U had horrendous marketing. Everyone knows it, okay? And that was the result of its downfall. I say all of this, okay? And this is, again, also something that is partially straying away from the topic at hand. But at the end of the day, man, I think that the Switch is still going to get some games for a good period of time after the Switch 2 comes out. And I think that is especially going to be the case because of the backwards compatibility existing, right? Especially because of that. People are going to feel more inclined to do that. Now, granted, I don't know why people wouldn't just make stuff for the Switch 2 as well, because it should remotely be the same effect. Maybe there will be more costly effects to, being on a newer gen console. I don't really know the ins and outs of the dev kits and working with all that, right? I don't really know how all that works. That being said, it's that is to say that, like, again, I think Switch 1 games are ultimately still going to come out. But I just really think, regardless of that, and while that may sound like an argument ultimately for, it may sound like an argument for there being a direct, I just kind of think at the end of the day that, like, guys, we're a week away from the Switch 2 direct. I feel like this is going to be a little awkward doing a direct for this a week before we have a Switch 2 direct, which is this, it's going to be this big, massive thing. I know, of course, it's in a bit of a weird position because of the fact that I don't think they were planning to reveal the Switch 2 as a console until, like, this month. But, like, they kind of had to open up about it to some extent back in January because the leaks were just getting so bad. I mean, they were getting downright horrendous, and it was to the point where Nintendo genuinely just could not ignore that, right? Nintendo genuinely just could not ignore that. But all this to say, like, I think it could happen, but I think there is a massive chance that it just doesn't, okay? I think, to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense for it to happen, but I don't want to rule out the possibility that it could happen. Right. So that's the way that I'm going to put that. Wow, what a rambling episode, fellas. 99% of this episode was not about the game. It was about talking about the possibility of a Switch 1 Direct happening tomorrow as of the time that I'm recording this video. And hey, I guess by the time that things get caught up and everything, and, quite a bit of time goes by so that this video comes out and, future videos are coming out, you guys will get my actual update on, well, guess nothing came of that, right? Alongside the events of what happened in the Switch 2 Direct. It's the funny quirks of recording and stockpiling a bunch of videos ahead of time, right? It's very quirky stuff. You won't be getting my actual thoughts on the Switch 2 day of, but maybe like a week or two after. That's gonna be quirky. But fellas, nonetheless, that's going to do it for this episode of Super Mario Galaxy. Fair bit of progress today, per usual. Another 4 stars. I really don't think that 3-star metric is true anymore. I think I underestimated. I thought there were certain stars in this game that were longer, but they're just not. So that's kind of the quirky thing. Nonetheless, though, hey, good bit of progress. And yeah, very excited to see where next episode takes us. We're going to be hopping back into Ghostly Galaxy. And I think also doing the 2 levels that are 1-star levels. But who knows? Only time will tell. Anyways, fellas, it's going to do it for this episode of Super Mario Galaxy. Fellas, if you enjoyed this video, maybe like, comment, subscribe. I don't know, do what you want. I don't really care. And I will see you fellas in the next video. Bye-bye, guys!